I knew he was having a stroke. And in that instant, it was just like someone just turned off the light. Christmas was over for us. I mean, we were so done with it. Like even seeing Christmas trees and like being in the hospital and there were trees everywhere. And just, I just remember just like you just feel, oh gosh, what is the feeling? I mean, almost, I hate to say this, but I almost just felt like disgusted by Christmas, which is so awful because I love Christmas. Welcome to Aging in Style, the podcast dedicated to celebrating aging and what it takes to do it well. I'm Lori Williams. I'm a certified senior advisor and senior housing expert. In each episode, you'll learn stories of older adults who are thriving in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and in some cases in their hundreds. Whether you're an older adult or the child of an older adult, this podcast is filled with insightful resources, organizations that are doing incredible work, and stories that will inspire you to volunteer, learn, and who knows, maybe even skydive in your golden years. Hello, and welcome to Aging in Style. I am so glad you are here today because we are going to talk about 2023. We're going to talk about ending this year, what I have learned from this year. And we're talking about this because Anna, my incredible producer, who many of you have met on the podcast, she loves to give me a challenge. And the challenge, we talked yesterday, and she told me, I think it'd be a great show if you did a recap of your 2023, sharing what you've learned in 2023. And I thought, that's a great idea. Just kidding. I did think it was a great idea, but it's kind of an overwhelming idea for me. And the reason why this has been difficult for me, and I've struggled with this since yesterday. She and I talked yesterday morning, and it is now 8:19 on Saturday night. I have a plane to catch at about 6 tomorrow morning. So you can tell I have procrastinated and put this off as long as I can. This has been a difficult thing for me to talk about because if you follow on the journey, 2023 has been the hands down worst year of my life. So if you haven't been following, on Christmas Day 2022, my husband Mark had 4 strokes and he was paralyzed on his right side. We honestly didn't know if he was going to make it. His speech is affected. We went through the entire year of hospitals, rehabs, doctors, you name it. We've been through it. And he is, thankfully, walking now with a cane. He's pretty much a superstar. I'm not going to lie. He amazes me in his endurance, what he has been able to fight through, the pain, his attitude, keeping a positive mindset and really working hard and working through this pain to try to get back to where he was pre-stroke. Still has a long ways to go. But you know what? He's the kind of guy we don't give up on because seriously, we have seen miracles with this guy. But that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to recap my year. And all day I have thought about what is it that I have learned this year? Because Anna said to me, you need to share what you have learned. And so it's kind of a big picture. So there's 4 things that I came up with that I feel that I have learned throughout this year. But one is just like the really big one, the big thought that I have on this. And to really get to it, I'm going to quote from the Bible. And you may not be a Bible person, and that's fine. But I am a believer. And through this entire journey, I have very much relied on my faith. And when I say relying on my faith, I mean, I'm not going to say there weren't times that I was not mad at God. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's part of it. We can be mad at God because we don't understand, why awful things happen to us and to our families or to other people. So I think it's a very human reaction. And so throughout this entire journey, there was a scripture that came to me and it was always in my mind, at least like a part of it. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it's, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And I can remember being in ICU and just thinking, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, and just thinking, how on earth is this prospering me? Because when you're in an ICU, when you're like in something so traumatic like this, you really don't understand why God, honestly, you feel like, why is God doing this to me? And that's not the case at all, but we're human, and that's where our minds go, quite honestly. And so that scripture, and I've never told anyone this, I'm sharing this with all of y'all for the first time, but that scripture has been in my mind this entire year. And so when I started thinking about this all day today, I thought about it. God has been faithful to me, and he has prospered me. And we have come through this really awful roller coaster. We've been in very low lows and up to very high highs. It's just this up and down, up and down. But I have seen my husband go from where, quite honestly, I thought he was about to die, to he is now, walking with a cane. That's unbelievable. And what am I to learn from that? And, what do I take from that and share with others? And what I honestly believe is that I am to take all that I learned this year, which is a lot about healthcare, about the human spirit, about people, just so much, and share that with others as a gift of hope and also of knowledge for others who end up having to go through something like this or similar to this. So that's kind of my big aha moment, and that God did prosper me. He did not forsake me and leave me. He was there with me through this entire journey. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that came out right, because I've really struggled with how to say this all day, but that's the big aha for me. So kind of the other things that I have learned in 2023, and I do think that they're important. They're important for all of us, because I think we all have things about ourselves. Maybe we're like for me, I'm very independent. I don't like to have to depend on anyone for anything. And when you go through something like this and your life is upside down, you have to be able to ask for help and accept help. And that was a hard one for me. But this year I've learned to do that, to ask for help and to accept the help. I had to get a caregiver to help. And, I tried to do it all on my own. My son and I tried to do everything on our own. And it took a dear friend saying, "You're losing it. You need to get some help." And I'm so glad that I heard her. I was open, and we did. That was the best thing I ever did. We had this caregiver who, honestly, I think of her as, I told her this the other day, I think of her as my fairy godmother. Okay, she comes to help my husband, but she is my fairy godmother because she helps me. The other day, we went out, we did a Christmas event all over a bunch of different senior living communities, and I was dressed as an elf all day, going to 11 different places, came home, had to change to go to a board meeting for our senior center. And I walk in my house, and I have a big golden retriever. There's leaves all over the house. There's fur. The house was a disaster. And she comes, and I'm apologizing. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I've been gone all day. And, things are just kind of chaos. I'm so sorry." Well, I go to my dinner. I come home. House is like sparkling clean. Oh my gosh. She cleaned the kitchen. She cleaned the floors. I just literally felt like she was my fairy godmother, had come and taken care. She took care of Mark, but then she also took care of things for me that just like eased my burden so much. So I love having these people in my life and having the ability now to be open to accept help from others. And by the way, if you've been fighting getting a caregiver, because a lot of people do, they don't want a caregiver in their home, you find the right one, y'all. It really is like having a fairy godmother, I promise. Okay, the other thing that I have learned this year is set boundaries. Set really good boundaries. And I thought I was good at setting boundaries, but I am better now, because this experience has shown me, we hear this all the time. Life is short. Yeah, life is short. I really saw it this year, and that life can change on a dime. People use that phrase all the time, and there's a reason for it, because life does change. I mean, like, it can change in an instant. And, I'm going to have boundaries up. I'm not allowing people in my life who are not there for the best reasons. If the situation no longer is a positive situation, no longer serving you, why stay in it? And so there have been people in all of our lives. There's people that, they're maybe taking advantage of you or whatever it may be. And now I'm just to the point where life's too short. If someone is causing stress and drama and whatever in my life, I'm done with it. I don't need that in my life. So that's been a big one for me. And then the other thing I have learned this year is that people are amazing. And I just never knew how good people can be. Because you always hear, like, especially if you watch the news, which I try not to, but, you always hear the negative stories and the bad things. But people they were freaking amazing. I mean, we had meals for a month that people were dropping off for my kids. So I was at the hospital the whole first month. There was, people making meals, dropping off cards for Uber Eats or whatever the other one is. Or just, bringing, and someone brought like a huge, like a buffet of Olive Garden. We had like spaghetti and salad and chicken. We had so much food. It was just incredible. So, people stepped up, they did that. We had a friend start a GoFundMe for us because of all the hospital and doctor bills, and people donated. And I mean, just the number of people who would just call me or text me and just see how we were doing, ask about Mark. My neighbors actually came and completely reorganized my garage for me. I mean, just the selfless, just beautiful things that people did. And what they did just truly touched my heart and made me realize how blessed we are that that there are so many good people in the world. I'm not going to say they're just for me. There's just good people in this world. And we need to remember that and not focus on the bad people. I mean, there is bad, but there's so many good people. And we have seen that all year. We have seen not only people who have, just come and loved on us and taken care of us, but in just people who took care of Mark this year. Therapist. He had, oh my gosh, the most incredible physical therapist when he was, living in the rehab. Just wonderful, who went above and beyond. And just some truly, truly incredible people have crossed our paths this year. And I'm so, so thankful for that. My son, I'm so proud of my son. My son is 27. He is incredible. He has stepped up and been here for me, and he has told me, I want to take care of Dad. I want to be here and I want to take care of him. And that's been just so huge for me, and just to see him grow into the man that he is. And he's been kind of a little bit one of these guys that's, it's taken him a minute to kind of figure out what he wants to do in his life. And so to see him from the very beginning, from the instant that Mark had his stroke, because unfortunately his stroke was in front of all of us. But I have seen my son just step up since the very beginning of this and just grow and become, the man that he's meant to be. So that's another huge thing personally for me. To see that is just so, I'm so thankful for that and so thankful for him. But the last thing that I want to share, and just kind of this year, as we got closer to Christmas, we had been kind of dreading the whole thing Christmas, because when Mark had his stroke, we were just about to sit down and eat Christmas dinner. And so the house was all decorated. And I don't know how better to describe it other than it was almost like a light switch went off. So I knew he was having a stroke. I said, "You're having a stroke." And in that instant, it was just like someone just turned off the light. Christmas was over for us. I mean, we were so done with it. Like even seeing Christmas trees and like being in the hospital and there were trees everywhere. And just, I just remember I was so over it. And it sounds awful, but it was just like, you just feel, oh gosh, what is the feeling? I mean, almost, I hate to say this, but I almost just felt like disgusted by Christmas, which is so awful because I love Christmas, but it was just, I was identifying it, like putting it together, those awful feelings along with Christmas. So we have worked really hard to just like, we've got to get over that. It's awful when something like this happens, really is double awful when it's at the holidays, but we are getting past that. We have decorated our house. I decided to change things up a little bit. So instead of like my normal decorations, we did the tree in different colors. I put some other new decorations up. I kind of changed things a little bit. And I think we're going to change like what we would normally have to eat too. I think we're going to do Mexican food. I mean, I'm just changing everything just to kind of give us a different experience. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, changing up some traditions are fine. You just have to do what you have to do to make it, make it special, make it different, and kind of get past those things that are difficult to deal with. Especially, like I said, when something like this happens during a holiday, it just, I don't know, it's just doubly worse. Okay, so I have completed my assignment, Anna. And you know what? We all need people like Anna in our lives who give us that little push and push us out of our comfort zones, right? Because if we don't have people like that, then we don't always take that initiative on our own because it doesn't feel good to really, like the last day and a half has not felt good for me to have to sit here and just kind of really think, but it has been good for me. And I'm glad that she assigned this to me. And I'm glad that I rose to the occasion and I did it. And I honestly hope that my experience helps others who are going through something similar. And then I know in 2024, I am taking what I have learned this year. And I believe that this is what the intention was, what I needed to learn from this experience and to share with others. And you will see, I am writing a book, and I had started a book last year. The book has completely changed because of life has really changed. And the book is about my husband's stroke and how we have gotten through all of this. So there's a lot of great things coming in 2024, a lot of things that wouldn't be possible had I not had this experience. And let me be clear, I wish this had never happened to my husband. But, we have no choice in the things like this. When they happen, all we can do or what we're to do is to grow from them and to share and help others. That's honestly how I feel. So Happy New Year. Happy 2024. I'm looking forward to a really good year. I'm putting that out in the universe. It's going to be a great year and a great year of growth. And I wish all of you a wonderful and happy new year too. So thank you so much for listening. And please feel free to share this podcast with your friends and family and let us know what you think of the podcast. And we are so glad you listened, and we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.